Hello YouTube, my name is rhianaB, welcome back to my Shadowhunter React Review series, and today we are going to be talking about episode 313, Beati Bellicosi. Okay, so first off guys, I have to explain why this video is delayed by a couple of days. I don't know if you can notice, watching my face right now, or looking at my face right now, I got a sty in my eye on Sunday night, and it's kind of been there ever since, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to delay it, because it was hurting, was bothering me quite a bit. In the past couple days it's been rather swollen, and it makes me look like my lid is like half closed, and it's feeling better today. It doesn't look that great, at least when I look in the mirror I see it's still swollen, but it doesn't hurt that bad anymore, so I can be able to, like, you know, sit in front of my ring light and not be really affected by it. But it also means I'm not wearing much makeup today. But that is my reasoning behind why this video is delayed. I apologize, but I'm here now, and I've got about a full page and a half worth of notes from this one episode alone, so we've got a lot to cover, so let's delve right into it. So first off, we have two main characters from earlier season 3 come back in Jordan and Heidi. So Jordan is with the other Praetors, and they're currently searching through the sewers of New York trying to find Heidi after she ran away after attacking Simon's family in an attempt to help him. Don't really know where that lies, but okay. They find her, and she ends up killing one of the Praetors named Nick, and basically just Heidi is on a complete rampage. She is gone crazy, and we won't know more of her motives until later in the episode, but I'll get to that later. Because speaking of Simon, we find Izzy has woken up in Simon's apartment after their trip to the Sealy Court, and I have that clip right here to react to, so let's go ahead and watch the clip. She actually looks decently well for having most of her blood drained.
Sorry, you kind of just passed out on the way back, and I didn't know how to explain everything to your brother, so...
Is she even going to explain a lot of this to Alec?
How are you?
I'm okay. Just... drained.
Understandable.
You see, I'm so sorry about that.
It was a joke.
Is it though?
You died.
You would have done the same for me.
But I don't have the same pre-existing conditions.
You mean my addiction?
Me or my fangs give you temptations they've
Aww.
I can handle it. Okay? I'll be fine. I should get back to the Institute.
I find it just so interesting how she could just easily slip those boots right onto her feet. I feel like I would be struggling with those boots hardcore. And that is the moment. Anyway, about that particular scene. So, I like how the writers have brought back Izzy's addiction to Yin-Fen back into the show, because if you think about it, addiction is something that lasts with people for a very long time, if not for the rest of their lives. And this was a very serious addiction for Izzy. So I like the fact that they're bringing kind of back in as still a struggle that she has to overcome. And I didn't think that was going to happen with her storyline for the rest of the season, but I'm glad it's here. And I just love the fact how Simon is being so caring to Izzy. I mean, basically, she almost died for his sake, and that's a bold move to make, and he was just so sweet. And also just the fact that he understands that maybe him being a vampire is a little bit triggering to her. I just find it so sweet, and all the more reason why these two need to get together, like, as soon as possible, but we're probably going to have to wait a little bit longer on that to happen. But anyway, they get distracted by their text messages with the news that Clary is finally back in New York City at the Institute, and cute little reunions between Simon and Izzy. I felt a little cheated that we didn't get to see the reunion between Clary and Magnus, and Clary and Luke. I think those were two that I was more... Besides Simon's, that was the only other reunions that I really wanted to see. So the fact that we didn't get to see it, it's a little sad. I don't know if they'll do like deleted scenes after the season is over, but I do feel like that was something that they could have put into the show really, really quickly. But anyway, Clary basically explains her situation, how she's now connected to Jonathan, and how Alec, being as smart as he is, tells all the institutes around the world that Jonathan is someone who needs to be captured alive for the sake of Clary's safety, and that they need to find ways to make sure Jonathan doesn't get anywhere near Clary. But as we know, since they're connected. He can really do anything, and she can feel it. So, doesn't really help that much, but hey, it's something. And also one of my favorite lines is actually from Simon when Clary was talking about the Morningstar sword and how powerful it was and how Jonathan was so adamant to go and find it. I love Simon's reaction when he was like, another magic sword? Because, you know, there was the whole soul sword incident, now we got the Morningstar sword, and I just thought it was funny how he just total Simon that kind of a line, so I just thought that was really hilarious. And another interesting fact, and we will touch on this later in the episode, is that Jace possibly knows the rune that was etched onto Clary, and how he can probably find some clues and help Clary find out any way to get it removed. Another funny little moment is when Magnus is struggling with the computers because he's trying to map out all the magical ley lines so they can track the apartment that Jonathan teleports, whatever term you want to use for that. And one of my favorite lines was when he's like, I could use some magic in a drink right now, because he's struggling so much with the technology. That was so funny. And also very relatable to anyone who listens to that, because it's basically just a way of saying, this is tough, and I need something to, like, calm me down. So I just thought that was really, really funny. And then we had a little tender moment between Izzy and Magnus, which we haven't seen in quite some time, and that was Izzy asking about Magnus getting this certain root that has something to do with Yinfen cravings or something like that. And obviously, since Magnus doesn't have his magic anymore, he can't really provide her with this. She assures him that she's okay, but we did see her hand kind of like shaking a little bit, probably from like withdrawal, or just like having the craving and not wanting to fall into that craving. So she's struggling with it. But honestly, this one, I don't feel like she would fall into her addictions again. I feel like she's got enough of a support system now where she can feel safe, and she also doesn't have somebody feeding her addictions, whether it's Alatri or if it's Raphael, so I don't think she'll fall back into it, but the cravings and the withdrawal symptoms, they're still there regardless. We're back to the Heidi situation, and she goes to the Hotel Till Moore and basically warns them that the werewolves will possibly be looking after them. And I can't understand, and this is my problem with Heidi, I just don't see what her motivation is. I don't understand what she's really after. I don't know if she's after a family, because she does keep saying that this is my clan, because Simon is my sire, this is my home, this is my family. I don't know if that's her motivation, or if she's just full out revenge mode, wanting to spread the pain that she's felt over the course of her life, even before she became a vampire. I don't know, and that's my one problem with Heidi, because whereas Jonathan is, as far as antagonists are concerned, Jonathan has motivation, he has a backstory that we can relate to, and he also is more charismatic. He's more fun to watch and more fun to hate. Whereas Heidi, I feel like, is just a complete bitch who just is the main hate of this episode in particular, but if she keeps coming back, she's just the pure hate of the show right now, because I don't like her character all too much, and I don't know if they're gonna elaborate more on her past and why she's doing what she's doing, but at this point, I just can't get behind Heidi. And every time she showed up on screen, I'm like, okay, there's gonna be a problem. She is going to do something to benefit her for her own selfish reasons, which we don't know about. I just don't like Heidi. Kudos to the actress who plays her, Tessa, but I just cannot stand Heidi as a character herself. Now, on to Jade Wolf, we get some werewolf dynamic, besides the Praetors, obviously, where Russell, who is now the head of the New York Pack, is basically ordering everyone to stock up on anti-vampire weaponry, like sterling silver material, holy water, and also issues a curfew, which leads Maia to really go against that. And this is the first stage of, like, a possible leadership dynamic happening again, because we saw that earlier with Luke and Russell, now it's Russell and Maia. And this is the first step for her to possibly take some big steps in her life, as to take a leadership position and take control. So that's the first step of that. We'll get to it later on in the episode. Oh, and before we forget, I do have the clip right here.
Listen up. Vampire killed a wolf last night. Praetor.
Which Praetor?
Word on the street, his name was Nick. Now the Praetors are saying,
so she's happy it wasn't Jordan. Still have some feelings there.
So sharpen your stakes. Stock up on holy water. Also, I'm instituting a curfew effective immediately. No one goes out after dark.
Curfew? Don't you think that's a little extreme?
It is.
I have a job at night. I can't just bail.
This isn't a can't issue, son.
You just will.
You can't just stop your life even when there's danger afoot. Be cautious, but don't halt your
I can go with
life.
him. Make sure that he's safe.
I said no. I'm the alpha of this pack now. I make the rules. And anyone who can't or won't abide by those rules can get the hell out. I can't lose my job.
I just can't see him being alpha material at all. He's no Luke. I can guarantee you that. He's no Luke.
You turned him. You can't just kick him out.
Watch me.
And there you go. That's the other reason why Russell just isn't good alpha material. I feel like it's just his way or the highway, which I think Maia even touches on. But anyway, speaking of Luke, we move on now to one of the more anticipated moments of season 3, and that is Maris and Luke working together. And basically, Luke brings in Maris to unlock this warlock safe that could possibly have some clues about this sword that everyone's trying to find, the one that Jonathan is searching so hard to find. So they meet up at the old Warlock antique shop, which was run by Dot originally, and it is Maris's job now, the both of them, but her job mostly since she has more intel, to try to get this safe unlocked. And this is the beginning stages of, and I don't know what the ship name is. Someone may need to remind me in the comments. I call them Laris because I think it rolls off the tongue a lot better, but I know Maruk is their other kind of ship name. So leave those comments down below which one you think it is. I personally think it's Laris, so I may be calling them Laris, but you'll know what I mean if I say either name. Now back to Simon's apartment where Jordan is. Jordan basically asks Simon for assistance in finding Heidi and basically using him as a shield because at this point Jordan still thinks that Simon has the Mark of Cain, which as we know, he does not. So that becomes a bit of a problem, not really so much, but it does like have a bit of a roadblock where since Simon can't be used as a shield anymore, he is also no longer like meant to be guarding over Simon because that was Jordan's whole purpose of being there in the first place, to look after Simon, who had this very powerful Mark of Cain. Now Simon, though, he still sees himself as being responsible for Heidi, being that he is her sire and didn't really do anything to stop her after the whole family incident. So he still finds a way to get into the group and try to help find and locate Heidi. And honestly, if anyone can get to Heidi, it would be Simon. Out of every single person in this cast right now who can do it, it is Simon. I don't think anybody else could possibly come close to that. We also have a quick little clip, which I'll play here in a second, of Jace and Clary looking for the rune that is etched onto her body. I will go ahead and play that clip.
There has to be a match.
Listen, this could take a while. I can get something to eat.
No, I'm fine. I'd rather wait.
I admire her tenacity for this.
You need to take a minute.
I don't have a minute.
They really don't.
Hey, listen, I thought I'd lost you. Forever. And now that I have you back, all I want is to stop. Just for a minute. And no Jonathan, no Lilith. Just you and me.
Well, about that.
As long as this thing is still on me, it's never gonna be just you and me.
There you go.
It's Jonathan too.
Well, that'll make things awkward in the relationship now, won't it? Yeah, that's the thing. I admire Jace for finally wanting to, like, slow down and wanting to take some time now that Clary is back. But the thing is, she's trying to get rid of this mark and wants to separate herself from Jonathan so much that she's willing to just, forego sleep, forego taking care of herself, which she probably should focus on a tiny bit. And she wants to just figure things out and wants to get this over with. But Jace, I think now he's finally at the place where he's realizing that time is important now that Clary's back, and he wants to slow down and wants to take some moments together. They could still do what they're doing and look for information on Jonathan and the rune, but he wants to have some moments with Clary, just the two of them by themselves. But like Clary mentioned, it's not just gonna be them by themselves as long as this mark is on her, because Jonathan is gonna, and this is kind of semi-weird to think about, but he can probably feel the things that Clary's feeling, so if they do anything, borderline boyfriend-girlfriend related, that can be a little awkward. Now back to Izzy, we have her looking over the info on a certain Shadowhunter who was involved with the Sealy Knight who was taken back to the guard after he was arrested, and I believe it's the same Sealy Knight that we saw at the very end of episode 311 when he was being experimented on. She gets info that he wants to talk. She tells Alec, and they decide to go off and try to locate him and talk to him about what is going on with the guard and the clave, if the two are in fact intermingling with each other. And one of the better moments I think of this whole episode was definitely the conversation between Alec and Izzy. First off, it starts really kind of funny because one of my other favorite lines, again from Alec, is when he is like kind of trying to open this candy bar up to give to Izzy because she has mentioned before that candy is her way of kind of coping with her cravings for Yinfin, and he goes, or Izzy goes, "What's in the candy bar?" And then Alec is just like, "Candy. It's in the name, candy bar." And I'm sorry, and I don't know if the writers planned on this or if it was just Matt's way of kind of delivering the line. That is such a Matt Daddario line to say. I'm sorry. When I heard that, all I heard was, this is something Matt would say if he was just talking like as Matthew Daddario, not as Alec Lightwood. I don't know if anybody else had that feeling, but the first time I heard it, I'm like, oh my god, this is so Matt. Like, it took me away from Alec for a quick second, which could be a bad thing, but since I love Matt Daddario so much, I didn't see the biggest deal, but I thought that was just really, really funny. But then we get serious as he basically is telling Izzy that, you know, she is strong and that what she's going through, all the feelings she's going through, that those are legitimate, and that if she needs any support at all, she can turn to Alec, she can turn to Jace. She has this backing to help her get through these tough scenarios. And it just, I love and I miss those really deep Lightwood sibling moments. We haven't really had one really in quite a while. I don't think that was just them talking like on a human level. We had moments where they were talking about like plans or stuff like that, like at the very end of the first half of season 3 when they were talking about trying to get Jace back and that whole thing. But them talking on a real human level, we hadn't seen that for quite some time, and it was nice to see it again. And I hope we have more of that in the future, since both of them are going to be going through quite a bit of struggles through season 3B, as we've seen from trailers and clips and whatnot. So we had a quick little moment with Heidi again when she finds an old high school student of hers who she bites and encantos, which is like glamoring if you want to use True Blood terms, but hypnotizes her basically into telling Jordan and Simon that she is being held at the Hotel Tullamore. Now, we know as an audience that that's not true, because they turned their back on Heidi because she's kind of just gone rogue and she's just doing all sorts of crazy stuff around New York right now. But the thing is that Simon and Jordan don't know that. So they fall for it and they go to the Hotel Del More. And basically there's a big confrontation between the head of the vampire clan and Jordan, and this starts the beginning of a possible vampire werewolf war gonna be happening. So, oh boy, we are in for some crazy stuff. And then we have Maris and Luke, who are still trying to find information on uncoding this Warlock safe. And this is where Maris finally learns that Luke lost his job at NYPD, as well as leaving the pack. And a really cute moment is when Maris is basically saying from one exile to another. Because now the two of them have a big bond. They have this strong bond. They've known each other through most of their lives from what we've seen from seasons 1 and 2. But now they're both exiled Shadowhunters, and you can even say Luke is one up her because now he's kind of almost like an exile wolf. And also as a mundane because he's lost his job and he's lost his family as in the pack. So... but I think that was really sweet for them to have that moment to bond. That gets all interrupted because Maia ends up finding Luke and begs Luke to come back to the pack. But Luke knows that he can't focus on the pack when he's still trying to figure out this whole thing with Clary and Jonathan. So he realizes that he's not good for the pack anymore, which is respectable. And he is right that he can't focus on the pack when he's got everything else around him going on. So he actually offers for Maia to take up as head of the pack and to challenge Russell for Alpha, which Maia is hesitant about, but honestly, like I said earlier, if anyone can do it, it would be Maia. She is strong-willed, she's a strong woman, she is caring, and she's understanding, so I think out of everyone in that pack, she is the best person to lead it. So, it's all about her just wanting to take that leap, step up to the plate, and take on that leadership role. So will she do it? We'll have to wait and see on that. Now, finally back to Jason Clary. We finally find out the origin of the rune that was marked onto Clary. I think it's actually on like her right side. I always point to my left, and I apologize for that. It turns out that there was a picture in the book Paradise Lost that Jace had that was owned by Valentine, and that Michael and Lucifer, who were brothers in a biblical story, actually had the runes on them as well. But since Michael banished Lucifer, and he himself didn't get banished, there was a way for the rune to be removed. How that is, again, we still don't know, but now we have proof that the rune can be taken off. And right when this realization happens, Jonathan decides to burn Clary's hand. And basically it's just Jonathan's way of, I guess, I can't say it's like manipulation. I can't tell if it's just him trying to get attention. I don't really know. But this leads to Jace trying to remove the rune from Clary using some kind of rune removal device. I can't remember if we've seen it in past seasons before, but he tries it and it doesn't work, which I kind of suspected it wouldn't because it was marked by Lilith, so I don't know if just a regular Shadowhunter removal rune device would do that. So sadly we couldn't get it removed. And then back to Maia, who is now sitting down with Simon again. And this is basically where Maia, in her first step, I think, of trying to become alpha, she decides to break up with Simon, which we all knew was gonna happen. We all knew that Saya wasn't gonna last forever because we want Sizzy to come in, and it's been built up for a while now that Sizzy is going to happen this season, so we knew that this breakup was going to come. I personally did feel like the timing was a little off, only because they're both going through so much that they need people by their side to look after them and to give them motivation. I felt the timing was a little off, but we all knew that this was going to happen. And honestly, though they were both, I think, upset, I think more on Maia's side, they both took it very well, and I think that they'll still be friends regardless throughout the rest of the show. So nothing bad there, but I just did feel like the timing maybe could have happened a little bit before all hell was about to break loose. So we're back at the antique shop with Luke and Maris, and they open the safe, they find the books inside, and now Luke is on a mission to try to find the source and the origins of the Morningstar sword. But not before we get our first Laris or Maruk kiss in, which kind of got a little heated. It started like as a peck on the lips, and then it went on to a full-on makeout session just out of nowhere until they finally stopped and they kind of just like collected themselves and then they separated off. So I wonder how their relationship is going to blossom over the course of the season. And I don't know, I'm excited to see where it goes, because Luke does deserve, since he's lost Jocelyn, he does deserve to have someone in his life. And I think now that Maris has come such a long way as a character, I think she's someone who can finally be an open and loving person, which I think she always was, but I think her dedication to the Clave and to her husband Robert, I think that kind of blocked her a bit from feeling that way. But now I think they can have a real relationship and it can actually blossom into something really, really beautiful. So I am excited to see that. And then Maris goes back to the Institute to talk to Alec and Izzy, who tell her about the Shadowhunter who died. Oh, and I'm sorry, I totally skipped over that part. Alec and Izzy find the Shadowhunter, but he ends up being killed by someone, like another Shadowhunter. And he says Celestius Ines. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I probably am not. But it's basically Latin for heavenly fire, which is a reference to the books. But Maris explains to them that this is some sort of an off-the-book Clave program. What that means, as someone who isn't a reader of the books, I don't really know what that means. But if we have any indication of what we know so far, it's probably not a good thing. They're torturing downworlders, they're lying to fellow Shadowhunters, and we still don't know if the Clave is involved yet. We don't know, but we do know that this is something that Izzy and Alec are definitely going to look into, although Maris tells them to not do it. What does she really expect, though? Being that Alec and Izzy are so involved with downworlder business, being that You know, Alec is in a relationship with Magnus, who is a former warlock. We have Izzy, who's had multiple relationships with fellow Downworlders and about to start another one soon. They're so involved with Downworlders that they can't help but to be involved, and they both want peace within all communities. So of course they're going to look into this. There's no way to stop it. So I don't know why. And I understand it's like a mother looking over her kids and stuff like that, but I don't see them stopping their search for this anytime soon, in particular with Izzy. So we had a very intense, sexy little moment with Jace and Clary, and they exchanged I love yous, which at first I thought, was this their first time saying I love you to each other? But then I remembered that they said it at the end of 220, and that's when they first said I love you. Or maybe it was even before that. Someone remind me in the comments. I could be completely wrong. But they exchanged I love yous, and then they had a pretty intense little love scene. For Clace fans, I know for a lot of you that this was something you've been waiting to see for quite some time. We got it today. It was really sweet. And also as a film production person, I loved the way that it was shot and edited together and how it transitioned from their little scene to like the streets of New York and how it kind of seamlessly flowed into another scene. I thought that was really, really well done. So it was really nice to see them have a cute little moment together. But then it gets ruined when Jonathan decides to carve I miss you onto Clary's arm. Ugh, I'm sorry. I saw that and I cringed so much. That was so disgusting. It was perverted. It was just, oh my God, it was just, ugh. It just sent a chill up my spine and not in a good way. And ugh. And it just reminds me of how deranged Jonathan can be and how delusional he can be that Clary would feel at all a sense of missing her brother. It's just, oh my God, it was just, ugh, it was so gross. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, final scene of the episode. We've gone through a lot, but now all this tension between the vampires and the werewolves are finally coming together when the vampires, led by Heidi, although she doesn't get involved with the fight, they end up going to Jade Wolf and all hell basically breaks loose. And Jordan, who is there, they all just go into big fights, and when the head of the vampire clan starts to attack Maia, Jordan jumps in front of his blade and just basically gets punctured in the stomach or the abdomen or somewhere like around the belly button area. Was not expecting that. I was shocked. And basically vampires and werewolves are all dying, including Russell, who ends up getting like stabbed like right back here somewhere. And this basically leaves Maia and Jordan to just try to fend for themselves in like a walk-in refrigerator or some sort of storage room. And now Maia is left in the Jade Wolf with vampires coming after her and Jordan is, I don't want to say bleeding to death, I don't want to assume that he's dying, but he got a very intense stab wound. And if he doesn't get help, there's a good chance that he will die. But that is where we ended the episode. And whoo-wee, that was a lot to go over. So, a lot happened. I hate Heidi. I'm creeped out by Jonathan. I'm happy that Clace are back together and that they're getting some moments to each other. I love the little sibling moments between Alec and Izzy. And now we have a new ship about to start. Well, technically two. One we've known for quite some time, which is Sizzy. And then we have a new one starting to blossom. And that is with Luke and Maris. So, a very chaotic episode at times, but we got a lot of info and a lot of stuff to build us up for the rest of the season. So, on that note, I'm going to end the video here. So if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave me comments down below. What did you think of this episode? And any other comments or theories that you want to leave, please leave them down below because I would love to read them. And if you want to see my future videos or videos I've already done, go ahead, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when my videos come out. That's all I have for you guys today, and until the next video, bye! Mwah.